Prior to the invasion, Gabimaru informs Yuzuriha that he might need to safeguard her based on the tensen they encounter. Despite both being shinobi, Yuzuriha acknowledges their differences and states that she will not jeopardize her safety for him, as her primary concern is her own well-being. Gabimaru understands her perspective, expressing that his objective is to return home safely, to reunite with his wife, and he does not plan to put his life at risk either. Currently, Gabimaru blocks Ran's strike, but after Ran expresses his frustration with Gabimaru's defiance, the tensen forces his hand downward, resulting in a severe laceration to his left shoulder. Subsequently, Gabimaru is thrown against a pillar and collapses on the ground, succumbing to his injuries. In a flashback, Gabimaru collaborates with Iwagakure shinobi to accomplish a mission. Although they achieve success, one of the shinobi observes that Gabimaru has been acting unusually, particularly in his reluctance to kill those who obstruct him, suspecting that this change is linked to his recent marriage. After completing the mission, Gabimaru returns home to find Yui waiting for him, visibly relieved that he has returned unscathed. Gabimaru feels compelled to inform her that he has refrained from taking any lives, which brings her great joy. While preparing chestnut rice for dinner, Yui notices Gabimaru's lack of enthusiasm, leading her to believe that his demeanor is directed at the meal, prompting her to mention that it is her favorite dish. A few days later, Gabimaru returns to Yui with a bloodied face, following a mission that involved killing. He urges her to keep her distance, fearing that he will frighten her. Nevertheless, Yui rushes to him, rejecting his fears and affirming that he is a husband, regardless of his appearance. In these moments, Gabimaru confesses that he is uncertain of the appropriate expression to show her, but hopes that her countenance remains unclouded. Determined to survive, even at the expense of his humanity, Gabimaru grips Mudan's Kishikai stinger in his right hand and pierces himself with it, leading to the acquisition of Flower Tao, which heals his injury inflicted by Ran. Gabimaru persists in fighting Ran while simultaneously recuperating from his attacks. At the Renton Palace, Mei informs Sagiri about Gabimaru's alternative strategy. Prior to the invasion, Mei clarifies to Toma how Chobe obtained the regenerative abilities of Flower Tao while he was at the tan pit. Small quantities of tan entered his system, and he successfully balanced it rather than transforming into flowers. Gabimaru, having overheard their discussion, guides them to Mudan's remains, where he retrieves one of the flower stingers with the intention of undergoing the same ordeal that Chobe experienced to acquire similar powers. Mei quickly objects, warning him that Chobe's acquisition was coincidental and that it poses significant risks, even if a minimal amount of Flower Tao enters his body. Although Gabimaru is convinced it is feasible since Chobe serves as evidence, Mei elaborates that it was achievable because Chobe was near death, a condition in which Tao cannot be ingested, coupled with his strong desire to survive. Gabimaru comprehends how this was feasible, attributing it to Chobe's determination to protect someone dear to him, and resolves to keep the stinger with him. In the present, Sagiri is astonished upon discovering the full extent of his intentions, yet she acknowledges that he is driven by a singular, unwavering hope to be reunited with his wife. Despite successfully acquiring the ability to regenerate, Gabimaru realizes that it has not led to any victory. His regeneration and Tao are diminishing, and both he and Ran must evade lethal strikes to their tendons. Following Gabimaru's being knocked back, Yuzuriha finds it difficult to understand why he would sacrifice his humanity to seek out someone who may not even be real, leading her to label him a fool. Gabimaru explains that he is driven by emotions that he feels are more appropriate at this moment than logic and reasoning, asserting that she will not grasp his perspective, since she is not inclined to undertake the actions he is pursuing. Yuzuriha concedes this point, just as her injury reopens, yet resolves to fight alongside him, declaring that she will make Ran pay for damaging her attire, which prompts Gabimaru to remind her that it was not hers to begin with. Recognizing that his Fire Tao is ineffective against Ran's Water Tao, Gabimaru informs Yuzuriha that they must rely on her Earth Tao to defeat him. Yuzuriha points out that obstructing Tao is futile if the disparity is too significant, and Ran's retention of his intellect while transformed may render their coordinated attacks ineffective. Nevertheless, Gabimaru insists that they proceed, citing his wife as his motivation, and ignites a piece of wood. Following Ran's applause for his demonstration of ninjutsu, Gabimaru initiates the confrontation by unleashing a burst of fire at Ran using Ninpo Oni Hotaru and Ninpo Hai no Hashi. After Ran extinguishes the flames, Yuzuriha ensnares Ran's leg with her mucus string, causing him to fall, much to her dismay, as she had intended to sever it. Gabimaru then dodges an attack aimed at his tendon from Ran. He subsequently attempts Ninpo Hiboshi, which proves to be ineffective, resulting in him being thrown towards Yuzuriha. Despite the futility of their efforts, Ran challenges them to engage him again, impressed by their display of ninjutsu. The two shinobi then unleash a range of ninjutsu techniques. Amidst the chaos, Gabimaru recalls that a Tensen will exhaust their Tao once their transformation concludes, to which Mei adds that it cannot be sustained for an entire hour. After prolonging the battle sufficiently to cause Ran's Kishikai body to crack, Gabimaru reveals that his earlier attack was intended to overstimulate the Tensen, leading him to lose his sense of judgment and timing, thus stalling long enough for the Kishikai to dissipate after consuming excessive Tao for 30 minutes. With Ran now weakened, Gabimaru and Yuzuriha rush to attack the Tensen. As Yuzuriha begins to feel the pain from her injury, Gabimaru realizes that Ran has dispelled the transformation before he has completely exhausted his Tao and observes that he is trying to recover his lost Tao through the cycle of Chi. Gabimaru then calls out to Yuzuriha to deliver the lethal strike using her Tao attribute. Ran acknowledges that she will not attempt this, as her next strike would cost her life. Yuzuriha agrees with Ran's statement but decides to proceed with the attack as intended. Upon hearing this, Ran creates spikes from the ground to assault the humans. While being impaled, Gabimaru helps Yuzuriha avoid the spikes by lifting her into the air. As she evades the spikes while airborne, Yuzuriha plunges down and strikes decisively at Ran's stand-in. The Tensen then begins to disintegrate while contemplating Rien. After the battle concludes, Gabimaru and Yuzuriha check on each other's conditions. Gabimaru reassures her that the spikes will not impede his regeneration, while Yuzuriha warns him about his impending fate of being transformed into flowers the more he regenerates. Gabimaru asserts that he had no choice if he wished to reunite with his wife and suggests that they regroup with Sagiri and Mei to be the first to reach the floodgates. Yuzuriha instructs him to leave without her after she has exhausted her strength. Before he departs, Gabimaru expresses his gratitude to Yuzuriha once again for saving his life during their first encounter on the island. Left alone, Yuzuriha unfastens her dress and removes the mucus layer of skin, revealing numerous scars that disfigure her body. She then coughs up blood and reflects on her deceased younger sister. Believing that her life is nearing its end, Yuzuriha apologizes to her departed sister for her failure to survive for both of them. Before losing consciousness, Yuzuriha fondly remembers her sister, advising her to think of the things she loves when faced with struggles. At the ritual circle, Ran's bottle bursts forth, indicating the defeat of all members of Lord Tensen, a fact that Guifa acknowledges does not come as a surprise. With the ritual concluded, Guifa prepares to report to Rien. Sagiri asks why Guifa is not choosing to seek retribution for their fallen allies. Guifa explains that the members of Lord Tensen are devoid of emotions or bonds with one another and reminds Mei that this also pertains to her. They then inquire about her return after such a prolonged absence, to which Mei responds that she has finally understood the essence of life. Upon hearing her answer, Guifa confesses that they feel a sense of envy towards her. Suddenly, the palace starts to shake, with Guifa observing that the situation seems critical. The source of the disturbance is revealed to be the Monshin, who have breached the outer walls under the command of an infuriated